What's good, Post fam? It's Asher Postman, and this is episode 4 of Internet Girlfriend Experience, which is the song Down For You. I'm gonna go through the project and break down some of the production nuances going on in this track. And don't forget, you can get free samples and the free acapella in my Discord server, link in the description. We're gonna have a fun time, so let's get into it. All right, guys, here's the project for Down For You. I'm honestly super stoked to show you guys what's going on here because this is one of those songs that has a lot of tiny details and layers that kind of come together to make a bigger sound. So the main part of this song is just a single note guitar picking strum. Picking strum? Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. That's how I wrote the song, and I wanted to kind of keep that as like the main part of the production. So this is actually a splice sound for this main part that I just chopped up into the different notes. I also have this layer here. This was like a really unique splice loop that really inspired a lot of cool sounds in this song because there's a lot of weird harmonics in it. Picking noise that I pan left and right. This weird loop as well. And that one. So all together, they kind of make this cool thing that adds character to the guitar. And with everything, yeah. This loop stuff keeps going on through the first verse. And then I added this other layer of acoustic that I recorded myself. Kind of got a cool rhythm moving it along. And then these atmospheric notes. And then just some SFX to kind of start it off. And then I have this cool thing. I noticed that guitar loop that I showed you earlier has this like harmonic tone to it. And I wanted to mimic that same tone in a vocal chop kind of thing. So I had this sound, which is my voice. Without any effects, it sounds like this. Which actually, that's not completely without effects. I actually recorded. Actually, I think I did it an octave lower because that's really high to sing. And then I pitched it up an octave. And then I had this like automated filter making it sound like this. And then I added a bunch of reverb, distortion, and OTT, and like sidechain and stuff, and it ended up sounding like this. So that mixed with the guitar kind of just fills out that cool harmonic thing that I was hearing. Yeah, so all that stuff together makes a nice bed for a first verse. So then second part of the verse, I have some new elements that come in. So we have a new guitar, just a single note pluck strum, as they say. And then we have this new little note come in. Just nice little pretty stuff. And then another new element that comes in here is 2 layers of another pluck that kind of mimics the same acoustic thing. I think this was a dry tone on my guitar. I just played it with my finger. This was my bass guitar that I played with my finger, and I just recorded the strings with an outside microphone instead of recording it into the interface. And that gave it a cool tone. So that new thing comes in. Which is kind of like the main rhythm of this song. All right, moving on to the pre-chorus. Things keep going, but we add more parts here. So there's a new guitar part. And that kind of offsets the rhythms. And then we have this cello sound, which is just like super distorted, reverbed out cello that just kind of adds like a pluck thing. And then we have this new melody that kind of walks up. Some sustained chords that weren't there before. I added a piano to thicken things up as well. And then on top of that, we have a little bit of a sub bass and then some extra percussion, adding more stuff. This clap part came in a little bit earlier as well. And then to kind of bring up the energy, I added drums, which weren't there before. I was really proud of that like kind of tonal snare that didn't have a lot of high end. It was just kind of like a dong kind of thing, and I just really liked that. So with all those new parts, we got this new feel. I always like to do little ear candy parts that kind of poke through in between sections. And so I just kind of chopped up some like little percussion stuff. And I just love that kind of stuff. It's just a couple samples that I found that I just chopped up a little bit weirdly. Little build-up snare. And now we go into the chorus section. So in the original demo, I just started off with some synth chords holding off on every measure of the chorus. Dun. Then I ended up adding some more layers later, but this is what the first stuff sounded like. And this synth layer. And I wanted to make it even more thick, so I actually opened a separate project to do this. I had this like huge acoustic guitar strum like hit kind of thing. And what I did was I went into another project and I recorded like a ton of different versions of me strumming a guitar. Some that are close to the mic, some that are like really far away in the room. And it ended up probably being like 15 to 20 recordings of the same strum. And I mixed them all together and recorded them and sent them back into this project. And they ended up sounding like this. Just like a massive guitar sound. And I also added a piano, a bunch of reverb. So all of those hits together just make it very massive, which I was really pleased with. This is what it sounds like. Big fan of that. So then we also have the guitars that keep going, their main acoustic. And then I have this new part. It's kind of like a blurred, like octave up of that. This cool little melody. And then a nice little rhythmic strum guitar. And then to complement that kind of fast-moving guitar sound, I have this synth as well, which is just a sine pluck, a single note. So yeah, all those things kind of keep it moving together. And in between, we have this little vocal chop thing, which when my behind the scene video comes out, you'll be able to see kind of the process of how I made that. And again, we have those little fun moments with the chopped up samples. And then the snare comes in, starts to build up. I add another guitar sound. This is more of a sustained note thing. Kind of building up into the drop. This wavy pad comes in. And then this melody. This is a nice, really pretty bell pad that kind of added more atmosphere. Then I added this thing back in. So yeah, with this song, I did a lot of recycling parts and kind of like adding them into new sections to kind of build up the energy more. So now it's just to build up a bit. And we're into the drop. I initially had this drop hit right on the downbeat, but I kind of started losing inspiration at some point during this song, and I decided to kind of have a false start where it kind of just goes into it and then the beat comes in afterward, or all the instruments come in afterward, and that really re-inspired the feel of this song. So I have all the instruments like kind of cut off at the first part, and then on the second beat they all come in. So this vocal chop is actually very simple. It's just me like kind of humming this melody. And then I just added a bunch of effects, like a little bit of formant and some saturation and flanger and things like that. Makes it kind of wider. And I also have this other layer on top of it, which is just kind of splitting it up into the side frequencies. I used Vocal Splitter for that, and I muted the original source so that it's only the wide stuff, and I can affect that differently. And then when you put those together, it makes it wider and just a little bit more interesting. And then that's sidechain to the drums, to the kick drum, and it's just a pretty simple beat. I kind of wanted the beat to sound acoustic or like a real live drum kit. So I used a snare sample that sounded kind of live and hi-hats that were live. And then I wanted the kick drum to obviously be like really punchy and like EDM-y. So I was pretty happy with the mix that I came up with. I had a lot of fun with those hi-hats, a lot of real sounding hi-hats, and then some cool like rolls that happen. And I have a layer in these hi-hats that I call the flanged hat, and it just has a bunch of like flanger effects on it, and it's kind of layered with the other hat, so it also gives it that other layer that makes it wider and just more interesting. So we obviously have our bass sound. And then this guitar part again, this kind of blurred guitar. And then we have another sine-ish sounding pluck. I love using those kind of things. And that's all the layers for the drop. It's very simple for the first drop especially. But take away the vocal chop here, you'll hear how simple it is. I'm really into trying to make a nice simple sounding drop, but each part has its own ear candy so that it sticks out to you and you can kind of pick out each part. And then it gives the main vocal chop its own space to shine and be a catchy hook like it is. And then after that we have this post-chorus where I did the kind of choir vocal thing where there's like a huge stack of vocals. And then on top of that I just elevate the drums a little bit higher. I add a little bit more of hi-hat. And I add the synths back in during that part to elevate the energy a little bit more. And then I have the vocal chop in the back, so that when I have the vocals in, it still feels like I have that chop in the background, but the vocals are the ones that shine. Down for you, so down for you, down for you, so down for you, down for you, so down for you. Yeah, so from then on, I kind of just adjust the structure a little bit, take some elements away in the down pre-chorus, and then the next chorus, things get stripped back a bit, and they start growing again, and then into the last final drop, I probably just have a few tiny things to add more energy. But really in that section of the song, the vocals are kind of what bring it to the next level because I add more ad-libs and stacked vocals. And that kind of gives the track that building and that final climax feeling that you really want to hear. So there you have it. There's the project of Down For You. Very proud of all these little details that I added in, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to them and being able to hear parts that you may not have heard from just listening to the recording. To be honest, this was another one of those songs where I wasn't sure if I wanted to finish it because I was really down on myself. And I felt like the chorus wasn't hitting hard enough, and I was having a really hard time getting it there. So it did take a lot of energy to get the production and the vocals to work together to make it feel like it had enough energy. But I was able to push through and keep working on it, and I'm super proud of how it turned out. Don't forget that I'm giving away some free samples and the acapella on my Discord server. So join there, check it out. And what else? Oh yeah, if you're not already subscribed, dude, subscribe. It's not that hard. And that's all I got for this video. I will see you next time. Peace.